If you played Roblox at all recently, I guarantee that you've seen one of these. These are called proximity prompts and they've gotten extremely popular recently. Also, if you've been playing Roblox for a long time like me, you probably remember these things being very, very popular back in the day. And you've probably also noticed that nobody really uses these anymore. These are called click detectors, and they've really become less popular in favor of these things, proximity prompts. And so if you're a game developer, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to know about them and how you can implement them into your own game. Alright, to start out, we're just going to add a part. We're going to anchor it and make it a little bit bigger. Then I'm also going to rename it to, I guess, button. And we're going to make it pure red. So to actually add our proximity prompt, we're going to go over here on this plus and type in proximity prompt. So now we have our proximity prompt. We can go and test it out right here. So the first thing I want to tell you about these is the reason they're so popular is because not only are they click detector right here, as you can see, but they also work as a keyboard button. So you press E, it'll work. And also, as you can see, they have a lot of customizable properties. And so let's get into those right now. The first property we're going to be looking at today is action text. So as you can see here, it's set to interact. So if we go into the game and check it out, we'll see that right here on this sort of title, it'll say interact. And that is what the action text is pretty much. So if we go here and set it to really anything we want, we can do like testing, for example. Make sure we save it. And then we go into the game. We'll see that now it says testing. So that's what action text is. You should really use this as like just a title that'll tell the player what this actually does. Okay, so the next property we're going to be looking at is clickable prompt. So as you can see right now, it's checked to true. So if we go into the game and test it out, we can see what it is. So here you can see it says E. So you press E, it'll work. But we can also just hover over it and click it and it'll do the exact same thing. And that's what clickable prompt means. It means if you can just click it and it'll work. So if we turn this off right here and we go back into the game, we can still use the keyboard, but if you click on it, nothing will happen. It won't even let us. So that's what clickable prompt is. Okay, so now enabled is probably the easiest one. It literally just tells you if it'll even work. So right now enabled is on. We can go here. We can use it. If we turn enabled off, we can go and it won't even be there. That's exactly what enabled does. Alright, so next property we're going to be looking at is the hold duration. This one's also very simple. It'll just tell you how long you need to hold on the proximity prompt for it to enable. So right now it's set to 0, and as you can see, you just got to tap it. If we were to set it to, for example, 5, so it would be 5 seconds. Now when we go over here, we have to wait for 5 seconds for it to fully enable. And the same thing is also for clicking. The next one up is keyboard key code. So this one's also very simple. It literally just the key that we need to press to activate it. So right now it's set to E, we press E and it'll work. Now we can set this to, you can go select it, we can set it to, for example, A. And if we go here, the button will say A, and if we press E, nothing happens, but if we press A, and now it'll work. Alright, the next property we have is going to be the max activation distance. Now this one's also pretty simple. It just tells you how far you gotta be for it to work. So right now it's set to 10, and if we go 10 stubs away, it'll stop working. Now if we were to change this to like 50, as you can see, you can go a lot further away before it stops working. And the same thing goes if we hit to like 5. As you can see, you have to be a lot closer for it to work. The next thing we have to see is it requires line of sight. So pretty much this will just tell you that if it'll work even behind a wall. So if we set up a wall right now for testing, you can just put it right here. Now, as you can see, the property is on, so we'll need line of sight. So let's just do a quick test. If we go over here where we can see it, it'll work. But if we go over here where we can't see it, it'll stop working. Now let's set it to false and see what happens. So now it's no longer on, and if we can go here, it'll work. Even behind this wall, it'll still work. Alright, the final property of the proximity prompt that we have is the GUI offset. It'll pretty much tell you where the actual GUI will be placed. So the x-axis is this horizontal one right here, and the y-axis is this vertical one right here. let's do a test. Let's set this to like 100. If we go here, we'll see that instead of being in the middle, it's a bit off to the left, to the right. Now, we can also do this to negative numbers. So with this to, instead of 100, a negative 100. You will do the exact same thing, but to the left. Now we can also do the same thing for the y-axis, or the vertical axis. Set this to 100. Now see that now it's also to the, it's now more up as well. And we can do the same thing with the negative number. So we can just do this negative 100. And you'll see now that it's further down instead of up. So to kind of see how it works, we're going to make something that's a little bit like a light switch. So to start out, we're going to add a script to the button. And the first thing we're going to do is define the button itself. So the button is going to be, I should call it switch. So the switch is going to be equal to the script.parent, which is the script, and its parent is the button. The next thing we're going to be defining is the prompt itself. So we're going to do local prompt equals switch, so the script.parent, so the button, dot proximity prompt. Now the final thing we're going to be adding is local on equals false. So this is very simple. When it's false, it means the light switch is turned off, and when it's true, it means the light switch will be turned on. So now we're going to make a function to change it. I'm going to call this one toggle. So the first thing we want to see here is if the light switch is off, then we're going to turn it on like this, and we're going to change its color. So we're going to do switch.color equals color3.new, and we're going to make it green. So this right here is the red value, we're going to set to 0. This is the green value, we're going to set to 1, and the blue value will be 0. Now we're going to do the same thing, but if it's already on. So this, what else does is, so if it's turned off, it'll do this. Now if it's turned on, instead it will do the opposite. So we're going to turn the switch off like this, and we're going to change the color back to red. Oops. Okay, so now we actually see when the player uses the proximity prompt, and we can do this very simply. So we're going to type prompt dot triggered, and we can just connect our toggle function. So now to test it out, we can see that right now it's off, now it's on, now we can turn it back off. Now one thing I do want to add is if we see here the action text remains the same, so you can't really tell what you're doing. And so I want to change that, so if it's off, it'll say turn on, and if it's on, it'll say turn off. So to do that, here's what we're going to do. Right now, this when it's false, it's going to turn the switch on. So what we can do here, okay, so what we're going to do here is access the prompt. And remember how before we were doing the properties like this, you can also use it, you can also access them inside the script just by doing this. So prompt, and then we can have, here are some properties. And we're gonna use the action text, and we can just set this to, right, it starts off as off, and so we can just set it to a string that says turn on. So right now, this is what it's gonna do, is it's gonna turn the switch on, and so when it's on, we want it to say turn off. So we can just set the prompt.action text, and we'll do turn off. And now we're gonna do the opposite over here, because this turns it off. We'll set prompt.action text equals turn on. Now if we go in game here, we'll see that right now it says turn on, now it'll say turn off, turn on. So now we can tell what it's gonna do. Now if we want to make it so instead of just tapping it, we want to actually hold it down a little bit, we can just go over here. We can type in prompt dot, we're gonna do hold duration, and you can set this to 1 second, for example. Now instead of just tapping it, we have to hold for a second. And with this, you can really change any variable you want. So you could change, for example, the clickable prompt, just to false. And so now you wouldn't be able to click on it. And you can do this with every single property you want. You just have to type the property right here.